In this video, I'm going to show you how to construct either your color buster, your pencil finder, or your gray buster. The technique for each three is identical. So the first thing that you're going to need is photo paper. Now I got this photo paper from my dollar store. It cost me a royal $7 for 20 sheets. So what you want to do is print it out on your inkjet printer at the highest setting possible. So what you want is you want to have full and as best quality print as what you can. Now I often get asked, I'm concerned about the print. Am I going to get the colors all right using my inkjet printer? So there's two things that you need to look out for. The first thing is if you've really got an old stinky inkjet printer, or you really haven't got a decent one, then take it through to your copy shop. Take the PDF file and let them print it out for you. That way you know you're going to get good color reproduction. Now the main thing that you want to look out for if you print it yourself is this. Just make sure when it's printed that sometimes if you've got old inkjet cartridges or the refills, I don't recommend using the refills. I prefer to stick with the original cartridges. That way I know I get a perfect print. But you don't want that banding. Sometimes when you print with inkjet, it gives you the banding and the lines and stuff. You want a nice even color. So a good place to check is like say on this gray or that black or the gray block over there. If you get a nice even color like that, you're good. And then just take a look at say your color wheel or this little area over here on either one of them. So on the, let's say the pencil finder, you're going to have a continuous tone, but you've still got your color wheel over there. And on the gray buster, you've also got this guy over here and this over here. So you just want to make sure that you've got a nice spectrum of colors over there. It's not sort of all tinted towards the yellow or the red or the blue, meaning one of your cartridges is busy packing up. As long as you've got a nice even tone. Now obviously with the gray buster it is set up in little bands like that. That's correct, and the same with the color buster, you do have bands. So just sort of check according to the PDF and your printed version. Just make sure you got a nice even coloring. Yeah, then it's fine. Okay, so after you've got your print out, the next thing that you need is you're going to need to laminate this. We want to protect this so that it lasts a long time and you can put paint on it if it's the color buster or the gray buster. So you'll need some laminating sheets. Again, this is something you can buy at your dollar store. And then you'll obviously need a laminator. If you don't have a laminator, again, just take it through to your copy shop and ask them to laminate your print for you. It doesn't cost very much, a few dollars. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to show you what I do when I laminate mine. Put the entire printout inside the pouch, and I'll just give it a light little rub to get rid of any air bubbles. Then make sure that your laminator is at the correct temperature for the thickness of your laminate. For example, 80 microns or 100 or 120 microns. They've got different heat settings. Alright, I'm going to let mine run through upside down first. Once it's run through, just turn it around a few times and let it go through the laminator 4, 5, 6, 7 times. You'll find then what happens with because the sheet itself isn't perfectly crystal clear, by letting your sheet run through a few times, it gets clearer and clearer and clearer. So then you have a much better picture or how would you call it, an image of the print through the laminate. Now I'll turn it say this way and I'll laminate it this way again. The reason I do it is you'll find the laminator, the little wire that heats up, that laminates the actual, or does the whole laminating process. It tends to, it's not perfectly straight, it tends to hobble up and down a little bit. So you get little spots that are hotter and colder, and that doesn't give you a perfectly even laminate. So for normal operating purposes it works just fine. But for what we want to do, we want to get absolute nice even colors on our print. So we're going to do it a few times. Keep your laminator on. We're going to use it a little later. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use just a cutting pad so I don't chop up my table. So I'll use a steel ruler and a craft knife. To cut out your tool, we're going to start with these little windows over here. So what's important is that we cut all the white away. So the way I do that is I put my ruler down so that I can actually see the white, and that way I can ensure I'm cutting just outside of the white. At the end of the day, if all that white must be gone and you must be only left with a grey. Now cut as close, or we rather say try not to cut too far past each block. The closer to the corner that you can stop, the better. Obviously, the more accurate the work you work now, the neater your tool's going to look when it's done. So in other words, if you cut these lines skew, your tool won't look as neat. It would work just as well though, so don't panic if you don't get it 100%. Right, so with those guys cut all the way around, these guys should just pop out. If they don't, then just see which one hasn't cut through and just cut it again, that's all. Just carefully just cut it again. Now do the same with this little slot over here, but now with that slot you got to be careful of one thing. By the time we've finished cutting the slot, we want that line to be gone. So again, we're going to be cutting on the outside of the line, like this. So put your ruler down next to the line, so that we're actually cutting in the white part of the paper. So again, if we pop this guy out, there's no line there anymore. Now we're going to cut out the slider itself. So again, we don't want that line. So to get rid of that line, this time we have to cut on the inside of the slider. Now you notice I haven't cut this whole piece of paper off. I've left it there. I've just cut just past that line, just past that line. That'll keep this whole piece here nice and sturdy for when you want to cut off those edges. So look what happens now when we pop our slider out. You see what's happened? The line has remained on the original printout. Okay, so now we've got our slider. We can put that one side for now. And now we're going to cut out the rest of the tool. So what you want to do is, again, you'll see there is a line all the way around for you to cut. So we want to cut away. That line mustn't be there. So we'll do the same as what you did with the slider. We place our ruler on the inside of the tool, so that we're cutting that line away. That line must be gone at the end of the day. Okay, so all going well. This guy should just pop out like that. So that little dark line is sitting over here. It stayed on the original piece of paper. See that? Our printed line is over there, so that our tool itself has a nice white border, or whatever color was originally there. There's no more guidelines left. So all that's left now is to wrap our slider around the tool itself. So what you do is turn the tool like this, so that the checker piece is on the end. Place the slider down on that edge over there, so that the edge of this and the edge of that line up, and then just move your little window over here left and right, just to make sure that you can see the top and the bottom. It fits in nicely. Get those guys over there perfectly lined up. Then you use a piece of clear tape, like sellotape, and you stick that edge down over there like that. This guy, you can sort of flip it back, so it's formed just a little hinge over there. The whole idea is just to keep this and this together. Now you're going to turn your tool around like that. Now we're going to fold each of these arms back to complete the loop. So the way I do it is I grab one arm like this. So I keep my tool pressed down. I'll lift this guy up, and I'll just press it down over here on the edge of the tool, and you'll see it sort of just suddenly snaps as that laminate bends. And then what you want to do is, as you bend this guy back, I'm first going to just take that tip and line it up to the edge of the tool itself, so that this little bend that it makes is nice and straight like that. So you get a nice straight bend like that. Now we're going to do the same with the other side. So we'll just press down here against the tool to keep that flat against the table, until suddenly it goes snap. And I'll bend him back, so that these two guys, these two little flaps over here, meet in a nice perfectly straight line like that. Give it a good little press for now. And now what you're going to do is you just need to stick these two guys together. So again, use a little bit of clear tape, like sellotape. Make sure those two little arms align perfectly. Squeeze him down there like that. And there's our slider and our tool complete. So all that's left to do now is just carefully remove this tape on the other side that we used just to keep it in place. So we'll pull him off. And we'll pull him off. And now you can just use your nail and just on that edge, just give it a nice little press, just to get a nice sharp little edge over there and over here, and that keeps the slider nice and tight against the tool. And now your slider will slide perfectly up and down, absolutely smooth, because it fits perfectly. See that? Nice and smooth. So there you go. That's how you make your tool. Now to get your tool to last even longer, there's two things you can do. So the first thing I'm going to do is for now I'm going to take the slider off. Then I'm going to take my tool and I'm going to run it through the laminator again. Now earlier I told you that your little wire that warms up the laminate itself to make it stick to the paper doesn't always give you a nice even lamination all the way across. So I'm going to laminate it. I'll start here and then I'm going to laminate it. So it's using this little piece of the wire, and I'll send it through on both sides, and I'll even turn it like this as well, and run him through again. And then once that's done, I'll move him up and I'll send him through there again. Flip him this way, flip him that way, flip him that way, and then I'll do it over there. And I'll do it all 4 ways, and then I'll do it here. And then turn him around, do it over here, and there, and there, and then I'll move him up there and do him all 4 ways again. So I've really laminated this guy lots and lots and lots of times, and what that done is, it's made sure by that time, I'll tell you, I've got an absolutely perfect crystal clear laminate, and these colors here are as good as the original print. So it does seem like a little bit of a mission, but to get that crystal clear is really worth it. Then the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take some super glue, and then I'm just going to run a bead all the way down these edges, all the way around the sides like that, and then carefully there, and all around there where we've sort of cut. And what that's going to do is just going to stop this laminate from lifting up on the edges, and that way your tool can easily last you years, because the paint can't get in there and the laminate can't lift off. This color buster that I've got over here is still my original one. As you can see, it doesn't even look the same. It's still in the old design, and I'm still using it because I've run that bead of super glue down there. You can see it's been well used already, especially here. You can see the paint it's lifted up over here just ever so slightly. But yeah, like I say, it's lasted me for years. The only reason I'm making a new one now is I also want the new design. Now we need to just put our slider back. So what I do is I hold my tool like this, and then I just press it with my finger in the center to give it a little bend, and then you can just flip this guy over, because by pressing it in the middle it sort of shortens the tool itself, and then you can just put it back on again and you'll have a perfect slider again. Now sometimes when you put it on, you will find that the slider runs a little bit tight. So if that does happen, you haven't got a nice smooth action like this, then what you do is just take the slider off, turn it around, lift up the sellotape, and now this edge naturally lies there. So what you want to do is just, let me line it up over there so you can see it was originally there on that point. Then all you do is just lift up that edge and give yourself just a millimeter or 2 extra. Hold it in place, stick it back down again, and now we move up to the edge over here, and then just with your nail just press it like this. So what it's done is it's basically just moved that little corner up over there a bit more. Now when you put your slider back on again, it's got a little bit more space to move, and it doesn't, you want it to run as close to the edges as possible, because then you know it's not going to wobble. It gives you a nice even run all the way across and nice and smooth. You shouldn't have to press hard to move your slider. It must be moved nice and easy like that. Great. Have fun with your pencil finder, your color buster, your gray buster. I know it's going to help you a hang of a lot.